Welcome to episode 345 of Game Deflators podcast. My name's John, and I am joined by Ryan.
Hey, everybody, here at the Game Deflators podcast. We like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and we're up for a little surf and turf in this week's Inflation Deflation Challenge.
Yeah, so we played some Town and Country, Surf Designs, Wood and Water Rage, and it was not all the rage. I will say that.
It made us rage.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it wasn't terrible, right? But it felt like a store or company, an LJN game, or really like a company that just said, "Hey, LJN, make me a video game. I don't care what it is. I just need a video game." That's what it was.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that in our inflation deflation challenge. But first, Ryan, tell us what we're talking about this week.
So this week, we are looking at all of the announcements, not all of the announcements, some of the announcements from all of the recent showcases that have been going on this summer. Then Xbox rumored to have canceled their new console. And finally, we take a look at how successful the Switch 2 launch has been. And then wrap it all up with that inflation deflation challenge.
Thank you, sir. And you can also find us on thegamedeflators.com. You can also find us on X at Game Deflators, on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and Blue Sky. It is at The Game Deflators. I'm off a week now, Ryan. We're also podcasts, so you can find us on all those great podcast applications out there. We're on YouTube. Hit the little bell so you know we're on. You can see us stream some crappy gameplay, as well as our old backlog of podcast episodes and videos. Anything else? Nope. 5-star reviews. Lots of them. Leave 5-star reviews.
All the reviews.
All right. Yeah, so I've been off a week. This is it's interesting. I don't think I've had. When was the last time I took a week off from a podcast? Like,
I don't know, a long time ago.
I think when my son was born.
Yeah, baby time.
Yeah, it's been a bit. So yeah, catching me off guard. But pickups. I got the starter deck for Final Fantasy Magic.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a basic, like 5 rares and all that. But I'm like, it's Final Fantasy. It'll be kind of fun to have 2 themed decks that could play against each other. And
it's a great way to introduce people probably to Magic. Like, I was trying to think, I had a coworker who used to play like a long time ago, and I was like, how would I bring them back into Magic? I was like, probably like one of those head-to-head starter decks where they're basically like, I know a lot of times those decks will come with like, here's a guide, don't shuffle the deck, just play it in order and you'll learn how to play the game. But then I kind of got down to the bottom of it and I was like, you know what, I bet the what are the packs where you open the 2 packs and those just make like a little 40 card deck?
I forget the name offhand. But I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Jumpstart. The Jumpstart. I think that's probably actually the best way to teach somebody Magic.
Yeah. So I think it was like $20 or something for that. Figured why not? It's Final Fantasy.
It was only $20.
I think it's like only $20. I want to say.
Dang, cool.
Yeah, I want to say it was that much. I also did pick up a booster box. It's somewhere. Oh, it's on the floor. Here, let me move my mic.
Nice.
Yeah, right there. So my first card I pulled out of that deck was the Sephiroth, a foil Sephiroth card, which is like a $50 card. So that was pretty cool. And I got the Buster Sword and a few other pretty cool cards as well. So I cracked that open last week. And then this I got yesterday, came in the mail a couple days early. It's supposed to be June 16th, came out, or I got it yesterday. So on Saturday. So that worked out. And then for Father's Day, I got a nice little new wallet.
New wallet.
Yeah. Cool. So, I mean, you've seen my Costanza wallet. I no longer have it, but I've got the nice little folds out. It has a couple bills, has my license, which I probably just revealed too much on the podcast. I don't know if you can actually see anything on there. So blurry. But yeah, so that's what I ended up getting. Let me double check that because if I need to
You're good.
Need to remove some stuff. No, I think I'm good. Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah. Okay. You won't be able to see that.
If somebody can see that, well then kudos to them. Yeah. So that's that. As far as pickups on currently playing, I started Symphony of the Night. I'm probably about 4 or 5 hours in on that game, and I'm enjoying it. It's pretty cool. Got the mace, I think it is, on that one. I also found I think it's platinum armor or diamond armor. I've beat a number of bosses so far, just kind of getting used to controls. I've got the bat, so I can use the bat now. I can use the bat as a familiar. I can shoot fireballs with the bat. I could turn into a wolf. I've got gravity boots, so I'm able to jump higher. I can double jump, all that good stuff that comes with it. So, like I said, enjoying it so far, just kind of unlocking what I can. I did make the mistake of randomly facing Richter Belmont last night, and
Mm.
that dude destroyed me. Like, I just jumped in. I'm like, there was no hope as far as how he was moving. So, all the other bosses in the game are very simple compared to Richter Belmont. But yeah,
You're
overall,
just
it's
doing this blind, right? Or are you using a guide?
yeah, I'm pretty much doing it blind. The only thing I've done is, I mean, I have like I unlocked the map so I can kind of see the map, but I've been using like a map guide in a sense to say like, oh yeah, X item is over here. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like I'll go to that item, but I'm not doing it in terms of like looking to where bosses are or looking up how to beat certain bosses or anything along those lines.
There's some
So
tricky stuff in there. We'll see if you get it on your own.
yeah, the like I said, the Richter Belmont one, I just kind of popped in like, oh shit, like that's not good, and then I end up dying. So there's been a couple of occasions where I've just randomly run into a boss. It's like, oh, I was not ready for that encounter in the slightest. The magic is kind of difficult at times because it's a lot of button mashing to get certain spells off. So that's one kind of qualm I have about the game that I'm not like a huge fan of. But yeah, overall, good game so far.
Nice.
Uh, and then and I think we played on the podcast years ago too, with the Sega Saturn
Yeah,
Shiro
yeah,
guys.
we did
Yeah.
because I ended up beating the game.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, I had that on the classic, I think is what I was playing it on.
Yeah, I'm playing it on the PS5 right now. So I have a digital copy I was playing. And then outside of that, we've been playing some Tomb Raider. So my wife and I are about 30% of the way through that one, and it's good. I mean, I love these Tomb Raider games, and I hope that they make more down the road. But this one was just as good so far as the others, and looking forward to continuing to progress in it. I did pause, of course, as one could imagine, Fantasian. That was getting to be too much of a grind fest for me. So I will go back to that one, but it's not a game that I had on my list of like, I have to beat it right away. But I did want to beat Symphony of the Night, get that knocked out. And then I do need to start on Witcher. So my hope
Yeah,
is I could start Witcher in July and just kind of bang through that. We've talked about it
Symphony's not
before.
that long.
I think Witcher's like 20 hours or something. It's not terrible. But we've talked about before, right? If I'm in front of my computer, I'll be able to play
You'll
for a
stay up.
longer period of time. So
Yeah,
that's the big thing. And I've got the whole like ergonomic chair. It's keeping me straight. So yeah, I shouldn't have any issues with that. But that's it for me.
nice. So I have been watching One Piece, as I think I've mentioned on here before, and you've
Yeah.
been begging, and Zach's been begging. So I finished the Kaido fight.
Nice.
I'm through it, and now this Ryo Goku or whatever is like this admiral. He's charging into Wano, and he's like
The
a
wood
super
guy.
badass for as pretty as his powers are.
The wood guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's crazy. So I just watched, like, I was like, I knew when I didn't see Queen and King like on the screen, I was like, I'll see them again.
Oh
And I was
yeah.
like, oh man, that was crazy. So it's getting good. Learned about um I don't know, the weapon has been confirmed to be there. Got to see the old shogun
Yeah.
reveal his identity. Um it's good. It's so good. I'm excited to be so much more caught up, and I know I still got a lot to go, but I'm working my way through it.
You're not that
And
far off.
then
You're probably 50 episodes off now, right?
something like that. Hopefully, I haven't really looked at the episode count and seeing where it's at currently, but yeah, it shouldn't be that long before I'm all caught up there, and then I can just pop right back over to the manga and keep going from there. Be on that weekly schedule. I've never been like on the weekly for a manga before, and it's been a long time since I've been like a weekly for an anime, so that'll be fun. And
Yeah.
then I've been still doing my Digivice. I got a Omnimon, which is like the highest level. I was able to like get two guys to stay alive long enough to get to their final level and then fuse them together. And then there's this like Coliseum mode where there's 100 battles, and at level 50 and level 100 you get like some new eggs so you can get more Digimons. And got to 97, Then I accidentally hit start instead of next, and I went all the way back to the beginning. And
Oh,
it's like old time gated game where it's like they have like a certain amount of energy each day, so you can only do so many battles, but also like it's it's not random, but there is some randomness in the combat as to whether you will win or lose. You're most likely to win if you're like much stronger, which this is like the strongest kind that you can get. So, it should be better than coin flip most of the time, but there are some battles where like you have a type disadvantage and maybe it makes it harder to get the win out. And I think if they get hurt 20 times in one form, they'll die. Just because you lose a battle doesn't mean they get hurt. But I mean, I definitely didn't make it all the way to 97 without not getting hurt at all. So now I got to try to make it all the way back up on this one if I can. And then from there, it'll be just doing different lines to try to get all the different Digimons made. And it'll take a while probably to get through, but that's kind of the extent of this one. I was doing kind of like a little bit of looking into some of the other models that exist and how those are different. They've got like different kind of like story mode type things where it's not really that much more engaging, but it plays into how the routing goes and stuff. It seems a little bit more complex than how this one is, while still being almost exactly the same. So one day I will hopefully get far enough in this one where I'm like, okay, now I feel like I've invested enough time and it's worth actually buying another one instead of just doing it kind of like on a fluke.
yeah. Going all the way back from 97, I would have just been like, nope, I'm done. Never again. Just
Right.
give up at that point.
And
Yeah.
then other than that, I did a Final Fantasy draft, and it was probably my worst draft experience, and it was all my own fault. So I just want to kind of share the story about it. So we were doing the draft, and I pulled this white cleric that's got, I think it's like vigilance and lifelink, and it's like a 3/3. And whenever you heal, you put a 1/1 on other clerics. This set has like the magic or the items that are the artifacts that create a job and give you like a hero that is that class. And there's a couple different cleric ones.
Hmm.
So unfortunately, I passed up some of those items that I should have taken and taken other cards instead of. So my deck got kind of like a little bit worse. I wound up basically playing exactly what I did at pre-release, which was white, blue artifacts. This one with more of like a cleric emphasis, but it just like it felt like I've done this twice and I'm only going to get so many shots at this because of like stock most likely.
Yeah.
So I feel like I wasted playing the same archetype all over again, so I didn't get to see that many other cards. There was a like full art Final Fantasy 15 Noctis and whatever the princess's name is, but it's like this mythic rare full art, but it's only a commander card. I'm never going to play it. I literally can't play it in the draft
You
and
can.
also in the pact.
Anything you
Well,
draft, you can play.
I mean, it wasn't going to do anything.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah, it was like purely a like commander card that wasn't going to help me at all. And the I did draw like another really cool like alternate art Waterstone that looked really cool and was going to help my deck, but it's like I had to pass up on this like maybe valuable card. I still haven't looked it up.
Yeah.
And then to top everything off, at one point during like the rotation, I had like picked up my set that I was looking at,
Hmm.
or that I had already pulled everything. So I had, like the hand that I was pulling from, my pile of stuff that I've already pulled, and I accidentally set it back down like on top of another pile that had been passed to me. So like at the end of the draft, I'm like going through, I'm like, man, this seems like an awful lot of cards. And then like in the middle, there's a chunk of like 9 like red and green cards. And I'm like, these aren't mine. And I'm like, hey, are these your cards? Are these your cards? And it's like, so I kind of, it was only one card that would have gone around to everybody. So it's not like that big of a deal, but it still feels like I kind of screwed it up a little bit for everybody.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. It's draft, it's casual. Like everybody was fine. Like nobody was upset. You know, it was whatever, but it got me like all flustered and stuff. So this is exactly why I only play in that like kind of environment and don't go to like a more competitive scene, because I'm gonna like
Yeah.
I don't have the gamesmanship and I'm just not on that level to like really try to be competitive. Like my opponents, like they need to check me a lot of times because it's like, oh man, I can't do anything. I don't have any mana. I might as well get rid of this card. And they're like, oh, that card has island cycling. Do you want to just like island cycle it? And I'm like, yeah, I'll do that.
So I played a little competitive Magic this weekend. I went out with the guys and played some standard. I don't have a current standard deck right now because I've been out of it for a bit. But John loaned me a deck. Worst deck I've played, actually. It was horrendous. So Joe likes to build these like quirky things, which is John's dad. And he's like, "There you go. Go ahead and give it a shot." I'm like, "Okay, looks decent enough." I didn't deal any damage to anybody until I
Uh-huh.
played Joe. And he was playing a burn deck. So that's the only reason I was able to do anything, because I had life gain the deck. So, with Vampire Nighthawks and other things of that nature, and
I
then
love
constant kill
Vampire Nighthawk.
cards.
That's my favorite card.
Yeah, I was playing Black Control, and for whatever reason, everybody just pummeled out creatures left and right. So there's nothing I could do. But like the concept was cool on that deck. But I bring it up because I was playing with somebody who had too much gamesmanship. So we're sitting there and like it's a casual setting, man. We're not playing like a 1K. We're playing 6 people, $10 entry standard, right? And for store credit somewhere. And so he's like, "Hey, I just want to make sure that you're okay using this like unofficial Magic the Gathering life tracker." I'm like, what? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, "Well, it's not a companion app tracker." I'm like, it's a tracker, is it not?" He's like, "Yeah, but it's not like an official device or anything." I'm like, that's okay. Like, yeah, I'm fine with this. I don't know why this is an issue." And at some point, like he would call out like the legal things, right? So,
Mhm.
well, I'm gonna do my one legal like hard shuffle on the table. I'm like, dude, you could hard shuffle 5 times for all I care. Like, it's a casual setting. I
Yeah.
I don't, you know, I'm not here for that. Like if I was doing a 1K, I wouldn't, I'd be building my own deck and top tier standard, and that's all I play, and I just kind of stick to it. Like I'm here on a borrowed deck. Like I don't care, man.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just like I said, I bring it up because it's always interesting. There's always one.
Yeah, you
There's
run
always
into all
one
different
person.
types.
Yeah, there's always one person that's like very rigid on the rules, or like is worried that he's like, "Oh, well, you could call a judge." I'm like, I don't know. Is there even a judge here tonight? Like,
Yeah. You know, I don't think I got to tell you much about the pre-release I went to. The best part about the pre-release, I was able to trade a guy there for 5 Kamigawa swamps.
oh, nice, nice.
Yeah, so it's like I was gonna have to go online and buy those anyway. So it's like that's nothing I would have been able to find. That's something I purely would have had to go online and purchase. And I was able to just like trade him like a traveling chocobo. And that's like all he wanted for it. I was like, dude, awesome, thank you.
How much is a traveling chocobo worth? Isn't it like $20 or $40?
I mean, I those lands are like $5 each, and the other one's like 8.
Oh,
So I
are they
got like
foil?
28. No, they're just the Kamigawa ones are expensive.
How many did you get from him?
I got 5,
Oh,
4 of the purple ones and 1 of the red one.
oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I think traveling chocobo went up, so you might have got the short end on that, but you got what
Dude,
you
it doesn't
wanted though
matter. It's
too.
like that's the thing though. Like, as much as I like the Final Fantasy-ness of the set, it's
Yeah,
gonna be with the rest of my cards underneath this couch.
yeah. I was gonna
Like,
say you
and
got what
that's
you
why I
wanted.
didn't feel bad about getting rid of that or passing along that
Yeah,
full art one, because it's like, yeah, that's a really cool looking card. It's probably the coolest card I've seen in the set so far,
yeah,
like with my own eyes, but um somebody else is gonna enjoy that way more. And
yeah. That's what I
like
was gonna say. Like you
I
got what you
tried to set
wanted.
up an online store thing on Card Kingdom or whatever,
Oh,
and it
TCG.
like or TCG player, but it was like not letting me. And as soon as I hit that barrier, I sent an email and I never followed up on it. So it's just like it's not in my brain space to really try to be like buying and selling and doing all this stuff, even though it would help me get the things that I actually like. All I want at this point is to get all the cool lands that I want for my draft kit and get a playmat. I already ordered a deck box that hasn't arrived yet, and I'm getting worried about it. But I'm like, that's all I want, is to just like have my kit set up for draft, and then I don't really have to care about the rest.
It's funny you mention that. I ordered a board game off eBay and it was coming from Australia and I haven't gotten any updates yet as far as like tracking. I had the tracking number, but like nothing has come through that says, "Hey, it's scanned at whatever area." So I'm like, "Do you have an Australian postage number I can get? Because if this isn't here by Wednesday, which is the expected arrival date, then that's kind of an issue." So I'm kind of in the same boat as you on
Yeah,
ordering
mine
things.
had like on the 9th, LAX handed over to local delivery, and that's the last update that the tracking gives me.
Oh yeah, you'll get it. Yeah, sometimes they just don't scan until they arrive at their destination. Cool.
All right.
Well, let's go into the next thing here. You want to talk trailers from all these showcases. I've been so out of it over the last like week and a half that I didn't really get a chance to keep up with these things. So last night I watched a bunch of trailers on video games from both the Xbox showcase as well as the State of Play for Sony, and there's some cool stuff on there, man. Um,
Yeah, there
so
was so much. I just kind of picked out an interesting handful of ones to talk about here that I thought were cool looking.
yeah,
The
I'll.
first one, as I was looking stuff up, that I kind of pulled up was Keeper from Double Fine. I don't
Mhm.
know if you saw that one, but you play as like a lighthouse that walks
Yeah.
around, and it's just got the most captivating animation and kind of interesting life to this creepy lighthouse that you're going to be wandering this world with. And it just like, off the bat, I was just like, that is a game I 100% want to play. Like, I haven't really kind of been pulled to a smaller title like that since I got really into Dredge.
Yeah.
It kind of gives me some of that same kind of vibe.
Keeper was on my list as well for games that looked of interest. Continue though,
Mhm.
because maybe we'll have some more crossover here.
The next one here is Beast of Reincarnation from Game
Absolutely.
Freak,
Yeah.
which is just like, okay, why why does Pokemon look the way it looks if your studio can actually, do something like this that looks like, it was made after I think somebody made the joke online, after 2008 or whatever. Finally, they made a game that looks like it's been published since then.
Yeah,
And it's just like, oh my
I was
gosh.
right with you. I saw that and I was like, "Oh," but I had seen preview like pictures and stuff over the last week or so, and,
Mhm.
yeah, it looks pretty sick.
But the other thing is, like, I played, what was that? Um, Little Town Hero or whatever
Yeah.
that they put out on Switch One, and I mean, they make other games. It's not like Pokemon is the only thing they make, but that's obviously like their most well-known thing. But I
This
don't know, they
was, like,
just,
out of nowhere.
yeah, who knows how good this is actually going to be, but it's definitely going to be one to follow. Next up was There Are No Ghosts at the Grand from Friday Sunday. Uh,
Did I see that one? I don't remember. Oh, yeah, yeah, it's one with the cat.
yeah, this one's kind of like a quirky, like, it looks sort of in the same vein of like a power wash simulator kind of view where you're first person, but you're doing kind of like tasks around this hotel, but they're all kind of spooky related, and you're trying to like solve a mystery and interact with characters. But I think you also kind of like decorate and arrange the space and stuff. So it's just kind of it's a fun vibe with an interesting mishmash of genres that looks like it could be pretty interesting, I think. Got a shout out to Resident Evil Requiem from Capcom. Yeah,
Of
always
course you
love
would.
Resident
Yeah.
Evil. Yeah, and this one looks like it's going to be really good. Looks like we might be going back to the remnants of Raccoon City, perhaps. Hopefully, my boy Leon's going to be in there. We'll see. Um, Arc Raiders from Embark. Arc Raiders had some previews a while ago, and this wasn't like the first showing for it or anything, but it's going to be another kind of like live service PvE co-op, kind of like in the same vein of like Helldivers, which I still haven't played. But it's, I don't know, it's versus like space, like UFOs or some kind of like phenomena instead of like specifically like these bugs or whatever that's in Helldivers. So I've heard a lot of people say that it's very fun, and it really stole a lot of thunder from. I think it demoed around the same time that Marathon was demoing, and people were like, "I want to go back and play more Arc Raiders. I don't want to go back and play more Marathon." So that'll be interesting once that comes out to see if that has, the pulling power to establish itself as a new live service, or if it's going to wind up, going the way of like, some other lesser well released ones that
Hmm.
shall remain in the grave. But it's just, I don't know. There's been a big sentiment that I've heard in the last week in some comments and stuff about there's just so much less being announced because of all of these failed live service titles. Like, it feels like so much of the energy from this whole generation has just kind of been sucked up and canceled, and now we're kind of just getting the scraps of what was approved that wasn't these, dozen Sony live service games that we're never going to see. Let's see, Stranger from Heaven was announced. That's the team that does like all the Yakuza games, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm
And
trying to
that
look
had
at
a,
my list here, see if I
yeah,
see
it
it.
was Project Century before, and it was set originally in the 20s, and now they moved it up to like the 40s. So who knows? Like with Project Century, it could be that it takes place over a whole century. Like maybe you could see like this part of Tokyo evolve through the ages. Like that could be kind of cool. I've not really had a whole lot of experience with those games. Like I tried booting up a couple of Yakuza games like last year because they were on Game Pass and didn't make it very far. Ill from Team Cloud. That was like a gross, scary looking trailer that I was like, oh man, I'm definitely going to try to play this with my wife because it looks so crazy and freaky.
I don't think I saw that trailer out of the ones I was looking at, so I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, that one's really crazy. Mudang to Hearts looked pretty interesting. That's the one where it's a Korean game. I mean, the presentation of the trailer was
Yeah.
kind of on that level where it's like, wait, who are these people? Why haven't I heard of them before? Is this like their first big thing? But it just like it's got some K-pop star in it, and there's like a girl character who is, I think, like a K-pop idol, and then you've also got like a soldier type character. It looks like that could be kind of cool.
That sounds like more up your wife's alley right there.
Mhm. Yeah, it's one of those ones that I definitely showed her the trailer for. I've shown her several of these, and
Yeah.
she's pretty into some of them. Let's see. Final Fantasy Tactics remake. That's going to be pretty cool. I've still never gone all the way through the original Final Fantasy Tactics, so like
It's a
kind of a
grind.
remade, fully voice acted version would be kind of cool. And then lastly, I didn't actually write it on here, but that Marvel fighting game looks epic. Like, and
Yeah.
it's very telling that like Marvel's doing so well these days and Capcom's doing so well these days that Marvel doing their own, I mean, not own as in house, but just Marvel without Capcom fighting game is kind of in that place where it can be its own premier thing and it doesn't need that expanded roster or lift up from, that developer to kind of cross over. So, also, I don't think the last one was very well received. So that's the one
I
with the time stones, and I think it was played for a long time, and but I don't think it was quite what everybody really wanted from that.
I generally stay away from fighting games nowadays. It's just not something that is like as appealing to me. You
Yeah.
know, I'll play them if somebody's got one, like Smash Bros or like a Mortal Kombat game, but otherwise I tend to steer clear and
Mhm.
go into more story based games as of late. For me, the ones that stood out were Resonance: A Plague Tale. So this is 15 years before the events of the last game, with the character Sophia. So that one's definitely interesting, and I liked that character. So it'd be cool to kind of get her story. Let's
The
see.
the joke I heard about that one is that like it looks like Assassin's Creed. Like it doesn't even look like anybody has the plague, and there were no rats, so there were no tails.
Well, I mean, it's just a Plague Tale story, but I would imagine towards the end it probably does something along those lines, and they probably talk about it too. Beast of Reincarnation, of course, that was on my list. Let's see. Chronos: The New Dawn looked interesting to me. Um, let's see. What else did I have? I had some crossover few. So I just have to point out and laugh. Anemo sounds way too much like Amiibo and looks far too much like Pokemon at the same time. So that was a very interesting one that they released. Planet of Lana 2 looked very much up my alley. I did like the art style of it, and of course, it is a platformer. So I was a huge fan of seeing that one. So that's one I'll dive into more than likely. Let's just keep going. I'm just going through Xbox First Keeper, as you noted, was the other one. So yeah, those are the ones that really kind of stood out to me. As far as PlayStation is concerned, um, Cairn, the mountain climbing game, I
Yeah.
actually think that's going to be kind of cool. So I'm looking forward to maybe giving that one a shot. Hot Shots Golf, I think I've mentioned in the past on prior State of Plays, is right up my alley. So I'm excited about that. Ghost of Yote, but Hirogami is one that caught my attention. So more of it like 3D platformer style, but the the art reminds me of like a Little Big Planet or Tearaway Unfolded. So
Yeah.
that's or Tearaway, I guess, is technically a game. So that's one that caught my attention. Luminous Arise. So getting to see Luminous on current generation is going to be badass.
Yeah. Luminous was always really fun on Vita.
Yeah. Pragmata was another one that caught my attention. So looking forward to trying that one out. You already mentioned, well, no, it's Project Defiant. That's something else. Romeo is a Dead Man. That one looked pretty cool, as well as Sea of Remnants. And let's just make sure nothing else here. The other big one, and this is top of my list for everything that's been shown across all trailers, Silent Hill F. That is top of my list. Must get. Need to play
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah, that one looks really good.
yeah. So a lot of trailers. Obviously, I'm not going to go into deeper details on my end as far as every single component, but Silent Hill F just had it's got the old style, like Japanese setting, which I absolutely love. It's right up my alley in terms of the types of video games I like. It looks disgusting. It's got some, you know, obviously very creepy vibes with the characters that are chasing you throughout that trailer, and I'm all here for it, man. The second I heard Silent Hill Japan, I was like, I'm down. Got to get that. So that's where I
Yeah, that's
stand.
gonna be a really good one.
Yeah. So, um, you had mentioned something about something being canceled. So I'll just do a crappy segue into our first article here. And that is that the Xbox handheld that was rumored recently is essentially canceled. But when we look at the Asus Xbox Ally, that's actually a preview of what Xbox is going to be moving forward. That's what we're thinking. And this comes from PC Gamer, and it stems off of an article that came out from The Verge. So what it's pretty much saying is that, we heard rumors of Xbox having a handheld console that would be, Xbox design, everything Xbox, right? Similar to what you'd have with a PSP, like the Switch, Steam Deck, that type of deal. It seems like they're going down a partnership route and no longer looking towards developing their own hardware, which, as I've stated in the past, would make the most sense for their Xboxes moving forward to not go that route. They're going to be more of a software company. It's kind of ingrained in what Microsoft is and what they have been historically. I'm surprised the Xbox had gone on as long as it did. And this, I think, is truly a preview into that world of everything is an Xbox, right? You have Asus, you could have, I don't know, HP, Dell could release something. I don't know, all these different hardware companies, Logitech, they could all come out with something that's like with Microsoft proprietary software installed and has little Xbox buttons, whatever it may be. and they license it out, and then Microsoft doesn't have to worry about a damn thing. All they have to have is compatibility components similar to what you have today with your standard laptops and video games and things, where, hey, this is going to run on whatever hardware device that you select. And it honestly, it gives consumers more choice, which is good for what they're looking to do. So I don't know. I've been talking about this for a while, so it's not really a surprise to me to kind of hear this type of news and these types of rumors to say, hey, Microsoft is kind of pulling the plug on, their own hardware. So any thoughts on that overall?
Yeah, I mean, the only note that I wrote down was John was right, because you have been saying that for a while, and I've been like, no, but they already announced that they were going to do the thing, like there was the leak, and it's like, well, you know what? Business sense says no.
And I even told you,
what
I
they're
think,
gonna
I'm pretty sure I told you at one point, I'm like, yeah, they can announce it, but they could just as easily cancel it. Like,
I just thought that they'd have one more like run at doing something, but like in this sense, what they can do is just, be that branded thing on there. Like I'm looking at my laptop right now. I've got that little Intel Core sticker, that little Nvidia sticker. You just put like a little Xbox sticker right next to it. That's all they really need. They don't need to actually have built the thing and made the money off the thing. They just need to be how you interact with the thing and have access to the rest of your gaming library. And you know what? If Asus wants to make like a cool controller, handheld that has some of those reminiscent like grip stylings and, the colored button layout of an Xbox controller, along with like, probably a special Xbox interactive button for game menu or game bar or whatever. So they can get all that in there and just license out the logo and work together and take half the risk and, not have to compete on that front and waste all that money advertising and developing and all that. And then also on the other hand, this gives them a route to say, hey, who else do we want to partner with? Are you trying to put like, you want to make a little PC that sits under people's TVs so that they can play Steam games and all their other games? Well, we're going to build the software that's going to work best on that. So, I'm sure once consoles go away, like it's not like people are going to stop playing games just because Microsoft doesn't make a console anymore. It means that the market's going to create a new opening for some other type of device that's basically just going to be like a dumbed down PC that'll work in the way that an Xbox would, but
Yeah.
it'll be another company trying to do it.
And I do want to point out, this is specifically a cancellation on a handheld, not necessarily their bigger console that they've talked about that they have already, not that they've announced, but they've made plans for. But again, this could
You
still
mean the one that they
technically.
could just as easily cancel?
Exactly, exactly. And your point is exactly what I was thinking too, where Microsoft theoretically could put out software similar to like the Windows OS, but it's the Xbox OS. And if you want to take certain components to build a PC and have the Microsoft Xbox OS put on that, and next to your TV or whatever it may be, like to have it as your pseudo Xbox in a sense, and being able to upgrade and all the like the customizations that could come with that. There's a lot of room to do things like that down the road. And I could see Sony doing something similar, right? Like, the Sony PlayStation OS, something along those lines, where loaded into that motherboard and system and have at it, right? So I think the future is kind of bright in that sense. From a physical game standpoint, absolutely sucks because that's the route we're going with a lot of these new games, right? My
Yeah.
PC doesn't have a disk drive, right? PC games are all digital for the most part. Probably be the same moving forward, right? Digital only consoles. And that's what they want, right? They just want you to purchase a license and not own the video game itself. And I mean, it's a crappy future in respect to that. And it might be one of those things that I just decide I got a big backlog. Let me go play my old games for a while. On occasion, maybe a new game that's digital on the PC. But yeah, nothing else on that. I do like. Can we say that again? That I was right.
You were right, John.
Oh,
You
I
were
appreciate it.
absolutely right.
Not yet, though.
And
Not yet. Rumored to be right.
yeah, Nintendo was also right. Nintendo Switch 2 sets another record by selling 1.1 million units in its launch week in the US. So Nintendo was like, hey, you know what? We're going to push stock. We're going to push it hard. And there's been a lot of people able to get their hands on a console. It's been wildly successful. I mean, I've even seen some people cover like scalpers. Scalpers prices are not anywhere close to, you know, what you would expect. Like these people are making not as great a margins as they want to be. So Nintendo's being able to fill the marketplace with enough to do some actual good and get some consoles to some people. So it's not like it's an easy thing to just go grab off the shelf, but from what I've heard, you know, it is possible. If restocks happen, you got like an hour window to try to get in there, hopefully, and try to get your hands on one. And hopefully that availability will continue to drive down scalping and just get those people out of it and back to buying Pokemon cards or being grubby somewhere else.
I would say the jury's still out on this, and it being like, yes, it has sold more so far in the Switch, but you do have to consider the amount of scalpers that purchase these consoles as well. So that's factored into those figures. I mean, Sony, similar situation early on with their console. So is it going
Yeah,
to be a
but they're
flop?
selling them for like 650, not like 900.
No, I get
So they're
that,
only
which
making like 15% or something. They're not doubling down all like right off the bat like they want to.
still a decent profit, to be honest. But
I mean, to go wait in line and like do all that, I mean,
unless they
it's
pre-ordered online.
yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean,
But if the market keeps pumping out the availability, that's when we'll see how
well,
long it really goes.
yeah, like I said, I think the jury's still out in a sense of you have a lot of your hardcore Nintendo fans have likely picked up this console, like your day one, first week, second week purchases. It'll be interesting to see where we are at after the holidays. Like
Yeah.
where the figures at in comparison with the prior Nintendo Switch launch during the same time period, factory and holiday timing. Um, a good example is I was at my neighbor's house the other day, right? Their kids have a Switch. They're playing Mario Kart on it. Their kids have no idea right now about a Switch 2. And the parents don't care to get them a Switch 2. So, like, as far as I know. So, when you kind of consider families are in that situation right now where it might not be super important to upgrade to the next console if the kids are enjoying what they have, I think that's a big part of this. And that's going to be a telltale sign as to the long term success of the Switch 2, um, or at least maybe the immediate future. Like we'll
Yeah,
get a good sense of what's going to happen.
I think in the long term, it's going to wind up, you know, doing well, but probably not as well just because it's not going to have that pandemic bump.
Yeah.
But really the biggest thing holding me back is, I mean, just not really having or desiring to get it right now,
Same. Yeah.
but just availability of what I'm getting on it. I mean, it's Mario Kart basically, you know, and then other stuff that you could get probably elsewhere as well, but there's just nothing that compelling. It's the same, like I still haven't gotten a PS5 because there's only a handful of titles I really want to play on it, and two of those were launch games. So, you know, I can just kind of wait this out, but we are probably going to get some kind of Nintendo Direct like next month, I think that people were saying, or maybe at the end of this month, I don't remember, but sometime soon to showcase like, okay, Switch is out, now what's coming, or Switch 2's out, now what's coming for it. What do you have to look forward to, especially this holiday season? But I mean, if they could get, you know, at least one big title every couple of months from now to the holidays, they should be set up to, you know, have some good deals and bundles. Well, they'll only do the one bundle, but I mean,
Yeah.
there'll be a lot better options for you at the holidays than just Mario Kart.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll get a Switch 2 at some point. It's not on my list of priorities of things to purchase at this point. I've got a huge backlog, as I've noted before, and there's PC games I want to play too, right? So there's only so much time in the day. And if I'm not going to play that console on a regular basis, like right now, I'm getting a lot of time out of my Switch. I was playing with my wife and my son with Mario Kart yesterday, Mario Kart 8. We're having fun with that. There's no need to dive into something brand new or a new Mario Kart when we're already good with what we got. So,
Yeah.
that's why I said, like, you're going to have a lot of hardcore fans that are going to pick this up right away, and they will continue to do so for a while. But what are the long-term sales going to look like? And I think that's where we can kind of start to determine, maybe not necessarily a flop. I know we talked about that with the PlayStation 8 Dead guys the other week. It won't be as successful, I don't think, as a Switch, as you noted, but I don't think it's going to be a flop either. So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Our inflation deflation, man, this one's rough. Town and Country Surf Designs Wood and Water Rage. So it's developed by Sanri Su Denki, published by LJN, released in February of '88. It is a sports game. Reception is fairly non-existent. There are a couple like random GameFAQs scores of 3 out of 5 on there. And Ryan, tell us, what is this raging game about?
Yeah, this is a street skating and surfing game featuring Du Bois from the company mascot characters of Town and Country Surf Design. So I didn't realize at first, looking at the title, that this was like a licensed sponsored game using mascots of a surf company. But I guess that these were their like mascot characters back in the 80s. So they put them in this game, and one of them looks remarkably like Funky Kong, but it is not. That is actually Thrilla Gorilla on the surfboard, folks.
Maybe that's where Funky Kong came from.
Yeah, so in this, there's 2 games and a third mode that I'm assuming is just both in order. So there is a skateboarding where you're just going from left to right. You tap B to like kick your leg and pick up speed. You can jump like off your board. You can lean back, grabbing your board to slow down, and then jump to like ollie with your board with you in the air. So you're just trying to avoiding obstacles, trying to jump, grind. There's like some coins you can collect. I had a really hard time actually being able to hit the coins for some reason. I don't know if I was on the wrong level and not jumping or what it was, but I just went through them.
It's a depth perception thing, because I also had that issue several times where I thought it was like right in line with the coin. Nope, it was like right behind me or right in front of me.
Yeah, and it's also one of those games where like not everything is exactly the same every time. Like you're going through the level and the layout is completely the same, but I don't know, sometimes the little toy car is red and sometimes it's green and sometimes it's a turtle and sometimes it's at this elevation and sometimes it's at that elevation. So it's pretty simple. It took me a few tries for sure to kind of get the controls down and try to be able to like jump the chasms appropriately and stuff, but it definitely wasn't like easy.
Yeah.
And then there's a surfing game which me and John both epically failed at. It's just not very well done, or it was
we
just
suck at
beyond
surfing.
us. Yeah, but
Yeah.
you're supposed to be able to kind of, do the classic, like kind of tilt back to kind of ride the wave and not get eaten up by it. But it just was impossible to like keep speed and not just get swallowed almost immediately by the wave.
Well, and it's how long can you hold it, right? It's not like you have a course where you have to kind of continue through. It's like you're just kind of chilling in that same spot, like moving with the wave, like you said, and just kind of making sure you don't get swallowed by it. And I mean, if you kind of factor in like what this game is, right? Like you said, very easy obstacles in the skateboarding component, avoiding obstacles again in the surfing piece while just trying to rack up a little bit of a high score. It doesn't have a lot of long-term playability. And it just, even like if you and I were sitting back like, hey, let's compete with one another and see like who can do better at this game, it just doesn't seem appealing to sit down and do that.
Yeah, this is
You know,
like a 10-minute game
it
that'll
is.
hold your interest, like at the
It,
most.
yeah, for sure. I think in that respect.
And there's got to be
I
better versions of both of these types of sport games on this console. Like, I would want to actually find like a game that has better skating or surfing to compare this to?
Yeah, I don't know. I never really thought about it. We talked about playing some summer games for summer, and I happen to have this surf game in my collection. I don't have any Kelly
Mhm.
Slater games because that'd be pretty cool to play it with.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, as far as like things like graphics, I think are pretty good. I think they hold up. They're very nice, and the music of
Yeah.
the game looks good. It does control well overall. Like I'm not saying it's a terrible game in terms of control. It does take a little bit to get used to it. The surfing, maybe user error, right? But even so, if we were like perfect at that from the get go, it's just not a very fun game. Like
Mhm.
it's just not that great. There's a reason this is probably seen in bargain bins across America or really just globally. So, uh, laying out the brass tacks here. Complete in box, $50. I mean, when we're talking complete in box NES games at $50, I mean, it's kind of rough. Peak 66.48 in December of 23. It is trending up. So I guess if you really want this game and you're a big town and country surf design collector, this might be up your alley. And in a loose copy will run you 707 right now. It peaked at 940 in June of 2022 and it's trending up in price. If this thing hasn't even hit a peak above $10, that's a telltale sign and it's probably not the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think? $5?
Yeah. I wouldn't even touch it, to be honest. I probably have my copy because it came out of like a lot.
Probably. You're just like, "Oh, never seen this. Probably never gonna see it again. Just throw it
I
in my collection."
honestly, I'm gonna say don't even buy this. Like, unless you were trying to like finish up some commons and uncommons for like a big collection, or you're like a TNC, what is it, aficionado? Is that what you call it?
Yeah, if
Uh,
you're like an actual skater or surfer and you like the brand and you've always wanted to play as your favorite brand mascots and never
Fairly
knew that
Gorilla.
this was an option, hey, go for it.
There you go.
This
Otherwise,
is a game for you.
yeah, I wouldn't even touch it other than that. Like, I'm at $0, dude. I'm like, if it comes in a collection, sure. But I don't think it's worth it to just go out and try and find this game.
So, is there something
Inflated.
beyond inflated?
No? It's inflated.
All right. So yeah, this is find a better way to spend your summer. Don't spend it playing this game.
Maybe we can dig into games that we played during the summer, like when we were younger, right? Like
Okay.
not in school at the time, summer vacation was going on. Like, what were some games that we were playing back then? So maybe we can think about that. So we're not like restricted to surfing and skateboarding and
All right.
water balloon fights and stuff like that.
Well, we'll see what we've got for you guys next week.
Yeah. But until then, this has been episode 345, not episode 346, Ryan, of the Game Deflators podcast. My name's John,
I'm Ryan.
and thanks for listening.